Taalia Vess is cool. She's an actor and multimedia content creator. You can catch her globetrotting and exploring new spaces in magic, both literally and figuratively. Taalia is also not afraid to speak her truth. She's a strong advocate for better representation and inclusion in this game that we all love. Watching Taalia stream on Twitch and whatnot is good vibes all around. She's authentic, and did I mention, cool to hang out with. Welcome to Humans and Magic with Taalia Vess, content creator and creative force. All right, Taalia Vess, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's just an honor. It's an honor having. I feel you're one of the.
You're gonna make me cry already. We're like barely. We're not even 30 seconds in, and you're gonna make me cry.
You're in the top tier of content creators for me.
You know, I just love playing Magic, and I just love sharing the game with people and meeting people in the community, and that's why I do what I do. So that's what I'm about. So I appreciate.
You're humble as
that.
well, as I'm learning in the last 30 seconds.
I am extremely honored to be here with you. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, I mean, your reputation precedes you. It's just you're all over MTG. You're doing all kinds of cool stuff. You're globetrotting across borders and different countries, and it's just wonderful to see your success. Like, I guess first of all, how are you doing this evening?
You know, I just got off stream and I had such a great stream, but I drafted a pretty bad deck. But I am enjoying Dominaria so much. If you have not tried drafting it, like, this is one of the most fun sets ever to draft. I'm gonna say it. Like, there's just so much variety. And the games really can go either way. Like, I am enjoying it. So it was a good day. I drafted and hung out with the community. So it was a great day.
Yeah. Does it still bother you when you get a draft pool that's not great? Or are you just like such a veteran now that you're just kind of overcoming all that variance?
It happens. So, you know, I don't ever play Magic with the intent of winning. I just want to have a fun time and have cool interactions and learn something, because you always learn something every single game. You're going to learn something new. And so I just love that aspect of it. And then just the critical thinking of making decisions right then in that moment that could impact the game, the outcome of the game. And it's so fun. Yeah. So I just enjoy it no matter what.
Hopefully your brain is okay, because I know after a long day of streaming, it can be, or a long session, it can be challenging.
Yeah. I mean, I hope everything I say, I can form, full sentences, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Your brain does get tired, but no, I'm good.
By the way, I want to say, I'm so glad this is not live. Like, sometimes my brain just
Me too.
Yeah. It's just like, I'm glad. Like, I know you're a big coffee person. Like, it's morning over here, so I'm just having my coffee right now.
Oh.
I have to admit that, actually, are you just one coffee a day, or are you doing multiple coffees a day?
All day.
All caffeinated all the time, 24/7?
All day. Yeah, I can drink it at night and still go to sleep. So I'm very lucky in that matter. But yeah, I wake up and I have black coffee. And then usually after I have my black coffee, then I'll want something a little sweeter. So I'll do just something with milk, like a flat white, or I'll do a latte, maybe a vanilla ice latte, because it's hot down here in Houston. And then this afternoon, for example, I got a smoothie that it had a shot of espresso in it, and it was like chocolate protein. So I even had it for a snack. I had some coffee. So yeah, I love coffee. Very passionate about it.
So you like to mix it up. Like, do you have it sounds like you actually have 3 go-to drinks during the day, or is it just the black coffee that's on constant rotation and you mix it up, or is it always a different rotation?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually first thing in the morning, start with a black coffee, and then around noon to 2, I'll want something that's espresso based. So whether that's just like a shot of espresso or a latte or something a little sweeter. But yeah, I try to avoid, sugars as much as I can because it's very addicting, just like caffeine is. But like, if I'm gonna choose caffeine, I'm not gonna choose sugar as well as caffeine. Like,
right. How did you get
balance?
How did you get into coffee? Was it at a young age or was there a turning point?
Yeah. So like when I was growing up, my granny pretty much raised me, and she always had a tin can of Folgers coffee, and she started giving it to me at a young age. And I was like, this is disgusting. And I would put tons of sugar and milk in it and make it good. But like,
I was assuming you still drank Folgers, so yeah.
No. Not that, hey, nothing wrong with Folgers, but like, yeah. So, I worked in the medical field for 12 years, and that's kind of where it started. Like, it was kind of just an office thing that we would do when you get to work. We make coffee. So it started like that with just, just regular grocery store coffee. And then Starbucks came around, and that was like the first. Well, Starbucks came around in like 2006. I was just graduating high school. So we got our first Starbucks. And then I started tasting frappuccinos and like, the sugary lattes. And I was like, these are so
the sweet
good.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got very addicted to that. And then I was getting Starbucks like every single day. But I grew up in a town outside of Houston. So that was like literally all we had. We just had a Starbucks. There was no independent coffee shops.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And so now that I live inside Houston, there are tons of independent coffee shops, and I rarely go to Starbucks. I probably go there like once every couple months, just if I'm at an airport and I need a quick caffeine fix. But like mostly I try to support the local independent coffee shops. So, and there's a ton of good ones, a ton.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm in China, and the coffee boom has just exploded here. Like,
it sure has.
What you're talking about in terms of gourmet coffee and having like these indie places. I'm in Shanghai, and it's just like there are a gazillion Starbucks in the city, but I don't remember the last time I went to a Starbucks, even though it's literally every other block has one. It's just there's so much choices, and I just think that like you find a place that has sort of the beans or the flavor that you're really into, and then it's very unique. So it also feels like less of a need to go fully corporate for your coffee choice, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Even the stuff I'm eating, I don't really know how it made its way to me, and I really should be more educated or self-educated on that. But it's
that stuff is like really, really important to me because it's what we're putting in our bodies. And it's also like who we're supporting. So a lot of the times my diet is just from like, I know it sounds crazy, but I mostly eat carnivore. And I try to eat very, very low carb. So I eat a lot of beef, and I like knowing where that beef comes from. And so I'm supporting a local farm here in Texas called 44 Farms. They are amazing. So yeah, like I just really care about that stuff because I care about like who I'm supporting and also what I'm putting in my body. I don't know. It's like
it's a win-win, right?
It's a
win-win because it's like you want to make sure you're eating stuff that's healthy, but you also want to feel like it's coming from a place that would allow it to be healthy or like sustainable. I don't know the right terms, but it's
yeah.
So what's on your mind lately? I mean, we've been talking a little bit about before the interview, but what's on your mind? Like just in the life of a content creator right now?
Well, I am juggling a lot. Like, I don't know when this episode's going to come out, but Magic 30 is coming up very, very soon at the end of October. And I am one of the special guests announced for Magic 30, which like literally every time I think about it, I want to cry because it is like just mind blowing that my picture is like right next to Mark's and Gavin's and like just people that like I never would have thought this would happen. So I'm like, I don't know how I got here, but I'm glad I'm here and this is really cool. So that's coming up, and I am debuting a cosplay, which I haven't cosplayed in a very long time, but I used to do a lot of cosplay back in like over a decade ago. That's a whole other story, but mostly comic book characters because I was really into comic books. But yeah, and then we have a lot of Magic events. We have MTG Summit coming up, and then in December there is a showdown for the qualifier that I was invited out to in Mexico City. So it's like a lot of travel, but also no one really knows this unless you're like really, really I don't know, talk to me personally, I guess, but I am working on opening up my own LGS because I really want to own my own LGS. And it's a really tiny shop inside of a coffee smoothie place. It was like,
hey, that's on brand. Yeah.
It's in like a little nest, like a little nook. So it's going to be really, really tiny, but I'm starting somewhere and I really wanted to do that. So I'm juggling a lot on top of that. Streaming, and I sell cards on Whatnot right now, which is another streaming platform I can talk about a little bit more later. But and then making content, I make content on Instagram and TikTok, and I don't keep up with Twitter too much. Twitter's a scary place. I don't get on there too much, but
it absolutely is. It is not the most pleasant of MTG communities. I'll put it that way.
I know. You know, I just try to always stay very positive, and it seems like Twitter is just complain. And it's really bad for my health. I cannot take it. My body literally shuts down. I'm like, yeah.
I'm sorry. I should not be laughing, but I am hopelessly addicted to that stupid website. And it's just, it feels like everybody's just trying to be overly literal. It feels like everybody's in some sort of like role-playing session that never ends. And it's just pretty bad.
That's a good way to look at it. And see, I'm not. Like, I'm just me, and I don't have anything to give to the Twitter world. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah. But I want to say congrats. Early congrats on the LGS. It doesn't matter like physically how big or small it is. That just seems like a massive undertaking, right? To create something that is physical. I mean, I'm not trying to discount like virtual creations or the communities that you're involved in, but like an LGS is huge, right? Like what was your motivation for like getting into that?
So I was in a place where I was mostly just streaming on Twitch, and not gonna lie, that is really hard to make like a livable income off of. Like, they take 50-50 split. It's just not easy. And you spend so much time grinding and just playing and being live to like, I was just at a place where honestly, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to get a job, like, which is fine. I could go back to the medical field, but honestly, like, they didn't really pay me that much either. So for the work that I did do, so it was like, I don't want to do that, but I was like, what is next? And then literally that same day I had a message from, this, I guess like, what do they call it? Like a recruiter from an app called Whatnot. And I was like, this looks fishy. Like, what is this? And I, because I get a lot of stuff like that. Like, hey, here's our product, post about it for free. And I'm like, no. So I was
it says like,
skeptical.
Hey, Bob in the subject line or something. It's just
and it's like, So, but something inside me was like, I need to respond to this. This could be something. And I did. And then like, he wanted to set up a phone call. And I was like, a phone call? Like normally we do,
that's formal,
Discord calls, or I was like, a phone, this is interesting. But I met with John, and he was just like super genuine. You could tell he was coming from like a really authentic place. And when he was telling me about this app, I was super intrigued because it combines all of the things that I already was doing, like talking about Magic, live streaming, selling cards, because I was selling on eBay. I've been a top seller on eBay for over a decade. I've sold stuff on eBay for a very long time. And so that's essentially how they pitched it, of like, it's a live auction. So you're live, but you're auctioning off stuff. So it's really cool because like you'll sell something right there, like in that moment, because you have live viewers. You don't put it on eBay and it sit there for months, you know? So I was like, yeah, I'll try this out. I didn't really have a lot of sealed product on hand. So I bought a lot of sealed product and I started streaming, and it went really well. Like, people were bidding on all the packs of cards, and sometimes they were overbidding just because they wanted to support me.
Right.
Now, so that kind of evolved into, well, I need more product. And, you know, I'm hassling my LGSs like, hey, can you cut me a deal on this box? And like, I'm trying, you know, because I have to pay 12.5% in fees, just like eBay, to Whatnot, which totally worth it, because the shipping, they make it so easy, and they're giving me the platform to use. So it's totally worth the fees.
It's a new channel, right? So yeah.
I was the first woman on there. There was only a few streamers. So nice. I thought, like, let's give this a chance. I don't know if it's going to work out, but like, being there early and being one of the first ones, like, this could be something, this, you know, and it's been really great. Yeah. So I needed more product. I needed access to product. And how do you get access to product? A distributor.
Okay. I see.
Yeah. And so
now my gears are turning in my head.
To get distribution access, you have to have a brick and mortar. You can't have just an online shop. I've had an online shop for years, and you know, you have to have a store, and you have to prove that you have a store to get that access. And so I was like, yeah, I got an opportunity to like rent a space inside of a smoothie coffee shop that, you know, is pretty affordable for me, or doable for me. And I was like, yeah, let's try it. And then I'll have access to distributor. I'll have also like a professional business space to put a return address on, because people right now send stuff to Coral Sword, which is my LGS. That's a whole other story. I love Coral Sword.
Your local LGS.
Yeah. And right now, like, I just had that as my return address. And I bet the poor manager, Sandy, he's like, oh my God, Taalia, because I get a lot of stuff.
I mean, come on, you're doing a lot for the store, right? You're always talking about them. You're promoting,
I do a lot for the store. I host EDH there on Saturdays. Yeah. I host events there. That's a women-focused EDH night. I've done a couple streams for them, because they do have a whole live streaming booth set up and recording studio. And so I've done some stuff. So yeah, like, they can get some mail for me occasionally, but yeah, it'll be nice to have a place of my own, so like, people can send stuff there, and I can, you know, when I'm out of town also, I can send stuff there and not, you know, get stuff stolen. Getting magic cards stolen on your doorstep is not fun. So
that's not good. So tell me a bit about this store aesthetic. Is it going to be like Taalia Vess branded, or what? Is it going to have, you know, is it going to be like the Vess studio, or what?
Yeah, so I have the logo done. My friend Tam Nguyen did the logo. He also did my playmat, which I actually have one right here.
Show it, please.
Yeah, so he did this artwork for me. And
incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing. Y'all should go
Even
follow
has the
him.
glasses. That's amazing.
I know. His name is Hello, My Name is Tam on Instagram. You should check out his art. It is amazing. And he does a lot of like magic crossovers, because he's super into
shout out to Tam.
Yeah. And so he did my logo, but it's called Vess Nest Games. And
Vess Nest Games.
Yeah, because I'm in like a little cubby, so it's like a little nest over there. And also the aesthetic of the smoothie shop is dinosaurs. So there's like Yoshis, and there's dinosaur eggs, and there's a dinosaur on the, like, as the logo for the smoothie shop. So I was like, dinosaurs and eggs go together, so my logo is like an egg in a nest. So it's very cute and like whimsical, and it's, you know, it's very much.
We're gonna wait for the unique collab drops to to be dropping sometime soon here between your neighbor and Vess Nest.
What's that?
Oh, I said we're going to be waiting. We're going to have the collabs pretty soon between the smoothie store and the Vess Nest. We're going to have some new t-shirt lines right here.
Yeah. Definitely. That's happening for sure. Yeah. So the aesthetic is very, whimsical and like colorful and very kid friendly. Excuse me, my sparkling water. Sorry. But so I want it to be very aesthetically pleasing, like very modern. So very clean, simple aesthetic, and it's I'm gonna have stuff for kids like squishables and Pokemon cards and things like that, which I know nothing about, but it's kind of the gateway into all the things that happened for me, because I was obsessed with Pokemon when I was 10 years old and I collected Pokemon cards. But I mean, they've just come so far, and I don't know all the new Pokemon and things like that and the new sets, but like definitely going to have that available for the kids, because it's also right next to like how do you say that?
Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. So there's like a jiu-jitsu place right next door where there's like a lot of kids that pass by. So I thought that would be cute to draw the kids in with Pokemon.
That is extremely thoughtful as well as business savvy. I love that.
Yeah. And there's like a little playroom area for kids too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the Taalia Vess empire is just growing right now. It's just like, I'm going to talk to you maybe like 2 years from now. You're going to have like a nationwide, I don't know, LGS with like...
I mean, I'm starting very small and we'll see where it goes. I just want to try, I think I would regret my entire life if I like didn't try it,
Yeah. No, I mean, that seems to be a kind of a theme, if I may say. It's just like you're someone who I just feel like, maybe it's as unfair because I'm looking at it from the outside, but it's like you're very adventurous. Like you're always trying new things, right? Whether it's the LGS, whether it's whatnot. You're not just like, I'm just going to do Twitch. I'm just going to do this. How do you get yourself out of your comfort zone? Because we're all in kind of our comfort zones or bubbles at all points of our lives, right?
That's a really good point. Like I've never even thought of myself as an adventurous person, but in terms of like,
you literally go to other countries, so I would say yes.
Yeah, but I don't do like skydiving or like no thanks. I will never do stuff like that. But I am very adventurous when it comes to food and like just wanting to experience different cultures. So yeah, I like going to Guatemala and El Salvador and things like was super, super cool. But adventurous in terms of content creation, I think like you almost have to be. I think you really have to try different things out to see what sticks and see what works. But also I would just get really bored if I did only one thing. Like, I don't know, it's just how my mind works. Like I'm always juggling a bunch of different things. Like I strive in like the chaos of having a busy schedule. If I don't have anything to do on my schedule, I get like really depressed, honestly. Like I'm like, what do I do with myself? But when I have travel coming up and streams to do, meetings and like doing this podcast, and it makes me so happy. Like that brings me joy. So yeah, I guess I am a little adventurous. Never thought of it.
Do you have some sort of this sounds so weird to say or formal, but like, do you have some sort of like risk-taking framework? Like when you decide to do something, like, do you kind of look at, what's the upside, what's the downside, and the in between? Like, how do you assess new opportunities as a content person?
That's a good question. So like, I definitely do. I think that's just part of human nature and like experiencing fear and doubt in yourself, which like I feel like everybody does. So I'm thinking, oh God, like, what happens if I do this and it fails? And, but like, you can't live that way. I like you have to shoot your shot and you have to take chances. So, that's just what I do. I just gain the courage and let the anxiety go and the fear go and just like go for it. And what's the worst that can happen? You know, I fail. Okay. I'll do something else. I hope that answered your question.
It does. I'm just, because I think what I'm sensing is that, at least the way I've interpreted your answer is like, you just have to kind of keep playing the game, like in two ways, right? One is like throw stuff at the wall until you find something that sticks, which is always about experimenting and being adventurous, right? That's important. Is to keep pushing yourself, but also just like, as long as you're not doing something that is like game over, right? Like as long as there's not something that prevents you from playing the game further, you should just keep playing it, because maybe I'm reading too much into your answer, or like trying to be too philosophical about it.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, unless, I'm not going to put myself in like danger.
When I say the thing about playing the game, I also think of like, so here's the caveat, right? Like, I'm doing content part-time. I'm doing this, but I am probably 1/1000th of like your presence online in terms of your reach, right? Because you are, like I said, you're I do believe that you're one of the top tier content creators, and there's a lot to do with, I guess I should say, like, no matter how big or small you are as a content creator, you always have to be aware of your brand and not doing things that, I think you've mentioned this in the past, like not doing things that are inauthentic or off-brand. So I'm wondering if you can speak to that a little bit as well. It's just like, how does that play into your decision to do stuff? Because I can imagine, like, okay, this is an assumption, right? But like, if you're choosing to sell on a new platform like Whatnot, you also have to evaluate kind of like, what's the brand of the new platform and what do they represent, right? And what do I represent by being on their platform, etc. Or even if it's like early stage TikTok, like, does this impact, how people perceive me? So I'm wondering if you can, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I would love to kind of get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you mean. I think that, like, of course there are people that are successful in content creation that have other personas, and they're like playing a character and they just like take whatever deal they can get. And but that was never my approach. Like, my approach from the beginning, I was just very open and honest with people, and I was my authentic self. And I think that that to me personally is like more what I look for in content creators as well, is like, I just want somebody that can be your friend. Like, I want to connect with the community. I want to meet you at these events. I want to play games with you. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just different. I think that there are some bigger streamers that are like, no, you're not my friend, and like, you just watch me play games, and that's okay. There's a market for that too. But like, everything that I do it from a genuine place, and I would never like take, even if it's a paid deal, like, I'm not going to take a paid deal, and I've declined a lot if it's something that I would not want my community to, like, I don't know, experience or like, it doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that makes sense, but it's like Voodoo Ranger, for example. Like, I loved Voodoo Ranger before I even got the sponsorship. I was like, oh, I really like whiskeys and beers and just trying different things flavor wise. And so I was like, wow, this is really shocking. Like, this IPA is not just hopsy and bitter. Like, there's so many flavors, and so like, that came from an authentic place. Like, I really liked the beer, and then a year and a half later I got the sponsorship. So I feel comfortable telling people about that and talking about it. And but like, if it's a coffee brand, for example, that like, is like a quick mix coffee that like doesn't taste good, I'm not going to tell my community to go buy that coffee. Like, that just feels bad. I'm not going to like lie to people. So I think like, there's no right or wrong. It's just like what I personally feel comfortable doing. And I guess that is my brand, is like, because I probably should work on like the brand of Taalia Vess, but I feel like right now it's just being real with people and like authentic.
Yeah. That's probably the most sustainable and honestly the most sustainable way, right? Because like then you don't have to think about it. You don't have to have like board meetings with your, I don't know, your staff and be like, who am I going to be this week, or what do I need to do next week? What kind of drama do I need to start next month? You know, it's just like,
yeah, no thanks.
It's just you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sharing life, you know, like I'm sharing my love of magic. I'm sharing my love of coffee and food and traveling and, you know, just things I'm genuinely passionate about. I want to share that with people. And, you know, and even like things like pop culture, like books I'm reading or, you know, shows I'm watching or whatever. Like, I just love connecting with people and talking about stuff like that. So
how do you draw the line when it comes to parasocial relationships? Because I think that there is also I don't even want to say risk, but this always happens, right? It's like your audience will know you better than you'll ever know them because you're a public person and they're not. So how does one draw the line? Because I know that also kind of famously, you're also known for just having good encounters with people when you meet IRL or when you have physical meetups, and you mentioned, you know, having an LGS now and things like that. So people are going to come to you that know of you online, but they don't really know you. So how do you draw that line?
Yeah, it's a little scary sometimes, honestly. Like, you know, there's times where, you know, the line is crossed, and it's difficult when that happens. But you know, I'm very like direct and blunt when that happens, and I'm like, hey, this is not okay, and you need to like back up. And you know, sometimes a security needs to be called. But you know, for the most part, like everyone is super nice, and I haven't had that problem too often. Only like maybe I can count on one hand how many times that's happened. And I've been making magic content for almost a decade, not streaming. I've only been streaming for like 4 years, but just, you know, I've been connecting with the magic communities for over 10 years. And so like being a woman playing a male dominant game, like it definitely was scary, but for the most part, like it's been pretty good. Everybody that comes to Coral Sword and they know I'm going to be there on Saturday nights or Friday nights, like everybody's very chill. Like some people are excited and it's really cute and they like want me to sign stuff, and I'm just a magic player. Like it's so cute. But yeah, I mean, I've had to completely like block people and like that. Once the line is crossed, yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay. Nobody deserves to be harassed. Nobody. So like once that happens, I'm done. I'm really, really good at figuring you out if you are going to be the harassment type.
You have a radar for it.
I have a radar for it because I experienced that so much growing up. And also I was married before, and I share this a lot with people, but I was married. I was with this person for 6 years, and it was a very, very abusive, toxic relationship. And so when I said I want to stream Magic the Gathering, they laughed in my face and were like, you never could do that. And then that's when I was like, that's, shit. Yeah, get out. That's the line. Yeah. That's the line. Yeah. So, after experiencing that so much, like you can easily pick up the signs of when that's going to happen. And I'm like,
have you developed a much harder protective shell around you as a result of all that?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like I wasn't myself for almost 6 years. I completely lost myself. And that was in my 20s. I'm in my mid 30s now. And so like I was I was very strong and independent before, but being with somebody that controlled me and controlled the money and controlled the way I dressed and just had so much control, like really beat me down to where like I didn't even know who I was anymore. And when I discovered magic, I just felt this like passion. I felt this fire, and I was like, I want to play. Like I was at my job. I was working in the medical field at the time, and I'm like dictating, what the doctor's saying, and I'm writing just 40 pages a day, just dictating and writing prescriptions. And I'm just thinking about magic the whole time. Like, that's just where my mind is. I'm like, oh, what deck am I going to build next? And like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I just want to play magic. And I didn't think that that could be a job. I would just play on the weekends at my kitchen table with my family. And then, my ex at the time, or my husband at the time, now ex, would watch Gabby and LSV on YouTube. And I was like, oh, what are they doing? And he's like, oh, they're drafting. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do what they're doing. And he was like, you can't do that. Are you kidding me? No one's going to watch you. And then I started streaming. I had a really crappy laptop. It like barely ran Magic the Gathering Arena. It's like all I had money for. And I started streaming, and honestly, like it was really hard. Like nobody really watched at first for a while. It was like I had nobody watching. And he came over and looked at the screen and was like, you have nobody watching. 0, I told you. And I was like, get out of my house. We were living at my parents at the time. I was like, get out of my parents' house. Like, I need somebody that's going to support me and like not tell me that I'm just dreaming. And so I kept at it. I was working multiple jobs, honestly, at the time. I was also doing production work, more that was just like freelance type work and editing. So I did cinematography and just everything, every job, lighting, sound. I kind of did whatever I could. And also I was working at the hospital. But like, yeah, it just like never was good enough for him. So I got my real estate license, and I was like, and I also was selling on eBay, and I was just working so much, but my only joy was like streaming Magic and playing Magic and like finally starting to meet people in the community. And then it built up, and then it was like, no, I have 5 people watching. And I was like, oh my God, I have 5 people. This is so cool. And then it went to 20, and then, then it went to 40, and it kind of stayed at 40 for like a long time. And then it went to 75, and I was like, oh my God, I can apply for partner. And it took me like 4 tries to actually get approved for partner. And it took me over 2 years to get approved for partner.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people get rejected on that.
Yeah, I was working so many jobs that like I barely had time to stream. But as it kept going on, like I started to make money, and then I started to get like job offers, like sponsorships, and I was like, I can make more money doing this than I can working these 4 jobs and like, not having time for what I really want to do, which is play Magic. So I really just went full force. I was living at my parents at the time. So like I didn't have a lot of expenses. So it was a lot easier for me to make that plunge and like try it out. And then like my parents, it's so funny because they still are like, oh, like, why are you playing that game? Like do something with your life. And I'm like killing
Excuse
it right
me,
now.
I've got look at my empire right now. All right, I'm opening an LGS.
I work really hard to do this, and I don't know if at this point in time if they are proud of me for sticking with it, but like they gave me such a hard time for playing that game all the time, Magic. So it's kind of funny.
But I think for parents, it's also a generational thing, right? I think parents, I mean,
they're like, you need to go be a radiologist. That's what they always tell me.
I mean, can you really tell people of that generation that you stream on Twitch? Like, they don't know what Twitch is.
They don't even know. Yeah, they don't even know. Yeah.
Like, the only way that you'll have made it in their mind is if you like show up on like a network TV or something, and you show up for 15 seconds on I don't know, MSNBC or something.
I am talking to a network.
Which you are.
Well, I'm talking to a network right now, so maybe they will be like, wow, she made it. I don't know. But like there's also a whole history. I used to act a lot as well, like do hosting gigs. I would do that stuff on the side too, so like I don't talk about it too much because it uses my real name on IMDb, but yeah, I need to change that. But yeah, I've done quite a few acting gigs and stuff too. So like streaming kind of just mixes all that stuff, you know, not that I'm acting, but like you do have to be personable and you have to like hold an audience a little bit. So it kind of blends all the things I like into one: producing, acting, playing Magic, and So it's great. I just combined everything that I did for 20 years and finally found something that like works together.
So much to unpack here, but I want to just, what I love about this conversation is just that every sentence you say makes me want to ask like 5 other questions.
I'm talking
and
a
it's
lot.
like, I know it will take like 10 hours and it will never be done, but I'll just try to find like the most important ones in my mind, but because there's a lot to unpack here. Okay, let's just start with the streaming part. Like, you know, starting when you're streaming for initially zero people, right? Then it becomes like a handful of them. Can you look back and think about what is some of the kind of, how did you get to 40 viewers? Because I honestly, for many people who are trying to stream, they don't even get to 40. So like, what was your ingredient? I'm fully aware that everyone might have a different way, but how did you do it?
I think like honestly, what helped the most is just like connecting with the community and getting raids and stuff. And I know like a lot of people leave after a raid, but just over time, like, a few people stay, a few people will stay from each one. And then like, if someone that's been doing this a while, like Jamie Topples, for example, I love her. And, she's been streaming longer, and then she's recommending me to her community, then they feel, because she's also very like genuine of a person, and they feel comfortable, like, oh, Jamie's recommending this person, so I might stick around. So like little by little, it did grow, I think mostly from just sharing my profile in my stream with like other communities. I think like a lot of the growth too came from me working with CFB, because CFB, like, RIP, it got bought out by TCG Player, but like CFB was they were like huge in content creation for Magic. And so when I got a job working with them behind the scenes at like the PTQ, this was right before the pandemic, then it was like, oh, who is this Taalia Vess person? Oh, she streams on Twitch. And so like I definitely saw growth there from working with CFB and just being at events and meeting people in person. And then when the pandemic hit, CFB offered me a job where I was doing commentary on Magic Fest Online, which ran like a good almost probably 6 months to 8 months during the pandemic. And so I got to work with so many other content creators that I looked up to, Andrea Mengucci and Martin Juza. So it was really cool. Like I just started connecting more with the community in like an authentic way of like, hey, we're working together. And, there's like that mutual level of respect there. And so then they started to raid me and share their communities with me after. And so it just like steadily grew from there, you know?
Yeah. So it's like, I guess persistence is one, right? Because you had mentioned, you know, being in a tough relationship where it's like you were the only one that believed in yourself. I think that's like really hard, honestly, especially when someone literally is just telling you that they don't think you can do it. Like, it's not just like nobody saying anything. It's like someone saying that, it was actively saying that you can't do it.
It was kind of like everyone saying I couldn't do it too. Like, you know, my parents even, and like
parents
people
too,
around me. Yeah. So I felt so alone. It was just me, and that was really hard for sure.
Did you have any way to like find a way to find your support network, or was it just like,
now,
you know, developing now? I mean, but I mean, back then, right? I mean, it must have been a lot harder.
Back then it is hard. And I mean, it's still hard even now as a content creator, like to still feel like in a bubble sometimes or alone, because a lot of the times you are just by yourself, like sitting at your computer for hours and hours. Just, I mean, I know that you are connecting with people through chat, but like, you know, sometimes it's just, especially during the pandemic, like it's just different. And so whenever we were able to have events again, and I went to Las Vegas, that was the first event that opened back up after the pandemic. That was really refreshing, just getting to meet so many people from chat in real life, and like seeing that you do have a support system and people do care about what you're doing. And that's actually the first time that I bought a booth space and decided kind of at the last minute to have a presence at these conventions, because they're just, I mean, every time you go, it's the same thing. It's like the vendors are either card shops and they're just predominantly male. And so I was like, I want to have an all women's booth. Like, let's do this. And so that's kind of where She Sparks came from. And, you know, I reached out to several women and non-binary people in the community and just said, like, I kind of looked for people that had something that they wanted to sell, or they were cosplayers or artists. That way, you know, because the booth did cost quite a bit of money. So we had to pay that back. And so, yeah, if somebody had like prints or cosplay photos, that type of thing, then they got invited. But really, like, She Sparks is more of just a statement. It's not like a closed group or anything. It's just, we want to provide a safe place for everyone, you know, to come to these events and feel like they have a community and feel safe, because there were countless times before in the past whenever I would go to events, and I mean, I have pictures of me. It's just me, and then it's like a sea of men, and you know, I just like didn't really feel comfortable going, honestly. And so
the personal space violation is just pretty bad.
It's changed a whole lot in the past couple of years, so I'm very grateful. But I think that comes from me being on Twitch and other women being on Twitch, and us meeting together and making these things happen and going to these events. So like, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Twitch, you know, and like meeting all of these awesome streamers. So yeah. And
it's like a double-edged sword,
our motto is, you can sit with us, because we want to be like accepting of everyone. There were so many times where I was competing at the GP, is what we called it back then, but we don't use that word anymore. And the guy like wouldn't even talk to me. Like, I would say, "Hi, how are you?" Nothing. Like, just people would just like degrade you and like, oh, I gotta play a girl, and like, you know, or mansplain to you. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? Like, you know,
like,
and
I can't believe I lost to her.
I can't believe I lost her. Yeah. And I mean, I would experience
like, how many times have you heard that in your life? I don't know.
A whole lot. And so it has changed a whole lot, though, because the last few events I went to, when I get paired up with somebody, it's like more likely I get paired up against a kid or another woman. So it's been really cool. It has changed a lot, thankfully. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough. And even before I played Magic, I always was a gamer. And so I would play games like Call of Duty and Fortnite. And it was just, oh my gosh, you don't want to go in that chat. Like, as soon as they hear a woman's voice, they're like trolls. Like, just, they come out and they're, yeah. So it felt like that, but in real life at these Magic conventions. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. So luckily it has changed a whole lot. And that just comes from the community building and us, you know, supporting each other for sure.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, you're shaping that discourse, right? Because through She Sparks and through being public about it and using, I was just saying like double-edged sword of like Twitch being a double-edged sword because it does garner negativity, but it also allows people to spread positivity, right? So
yes. And I've always said like what you put out there is what you get back. And, you know, sometimes I do have trolls and that's, you know, just you can't get around that. You just have to ignore it. And I just usually block them, but I've definitely curated, you know, something that is positive, and I surround myself around positive people and like-minded people. And if, you know, you're messing up the vibe, then I just ban you or block you, and that's it. You know, you have to like curate that.
Yeah.
You have to curate what you want to be around.
Why do you think the internet makes us into monsters? Is it the internet, or were we just monsters
because the algorithm?
In the internet? Because the algorithm.
Yeah. So, I mean, you like my Twitter engagement, for example, like I'll post something positive. I tend to just post things that are positive or just updating you on like what I'm doing. And, you know, I won't get that many likes, to be honest. But I'll click on the engagement and the engagement's there. There's like 30,000 people clicked on it or whatever, or saw it. But you only get like 20 likes. And it's like, people love the drama. You see a negative post and it blows up. It has 40,000 likes, and it's like people, I don't know. It's just how the algorithm is. Like people see the negativity and they like it, and then it pushes it up to the top, and then more people are liking it, and like all the positivity gets thrown at the bottom. Right. Nobody cares. So
the platform or the algorithm incentivizes
for sure,
promoting negative behavior, basically.
Yeah, which is really sad. It's really
negative
sad.
Sentiment, I should say.
Yeah. So I have a friend that like works in IT at YouTube, and they said that something about the down vote button. Like whenever people, I don't know if I haven't been on YouTube in a long time, but I think there's like maybe there was a down vote button
there
at
is,
one point
but
in time.
It's way less emphasized now.
But back then, like though the more down votes, like the higher views that it got.
So really it was just an alternate really.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Super, super interesting.
Yes. It's crazy to think that these
I think it's changed
for-profit platforms are trying to get more people to watch or to engage. Yes, it's pretty you know, the stuff that gets the views is like drama, and I don't like drama, so I stay out of it, and that's okay. Fair enough.
That's fine with me. That's good for my mental health. So
yes. The other part of my question was just like, what makes people into monsters, in the sense that people just DM people weird shit on the internet, and it's just like every day. I mean, I'm a man, and I get stuff once in a while, so I can't even imagine for like someone who's a much more high profile woman or
so bad
marginalized gender, like what or ethnicity or background, like what they get. It's just like it's empathy, right? So if I get like once a week, I'm sure other people are getting an order of magnitude more. So like, what makes people do that shit? Like, do you have any ideas or theories around that? Are they just hiding behind anonymity or what?
Definitely yes. And I think like a lot of people just want to get the attention from, they want you to spend the time on them. Like I get the weirdest questions all the time, and I normally try to answer every single person, like even if they're just asking a question.
Right.
But some of the questions I get are like really, it's just like, you can't Google that. Like if you just simply Google, then you'll definitely find your answer. So it's like,
you mean they're not even asking you something? They're just using you as a Google or something?
Yeah. Just to get a response, because they like want to see if you respond, or they just want your attention. Yeah, yes. I mean, I literally can't explain why people act like that, but yeah, you just have to block.
Yes, block liberally. And as you said, you have a good radar for people. So it's like, you probably know what's up within, 2 seconds, right? So.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So going back to your, amplifying voices, can you talk a bit about your collab with ZBexx? Because I know that she's kind of been someone you collab with, or a partner of yours, like when it comes to She Sparks, and I've had her on the podcast before as well, and she spoke very highly of you. So it's like, tell me about her and like your relationship with her.
I met ZBexx at the PTQ in Arizona when I was working at CFB, and she was running around in her, is it Galia? She was running around in her costume, and she just had so much energy. I don't have that much energy. I'm like actually I'm very introverted, surprisingly, and I need to recharge, and I'm like very chill, and I just like but I want people like that in my life where like they can be energetic and I can just chill. So I was like, I want to be friends with her. And so I introduced myself, and then, like the pandemic happened, so we didn't really talk much, but then we just reconnected. I'm trying to think of the first event that we reconnected at. I guess it was the Vegas one. I mean, we definitely worked together during the pandemic. Like we were on the same Extra Life team, and we like played some EDH games on Spell Table and things like that for charity. But I guess whenever I had the idea for She Sparks, she just popped into my mind because she's just so positive. And I need people around me that are like that, and she just is so passionate and knowledgeable about Magic, and she just genuinely loves the game, loves cosplay, and I was just like, I just want to be friends with her, and I asked her to do the booth with me, and I wanted to give her a space. I knew that she did a lot of cosplay, and when you're doing cosplay at these events, it's not easy to like have a space of your own to like put your stuff and just like go sit down and relax when you're tired and you need a little break. And so it was more of just like, hey, you can sell your prints and hang out at the booth and meet your fans. And so she agreed, and we brought on ZBexx as well, who's an amazing cosplayer, and she's a Magic player as well. She, I think, got to the top several times in the Venus Mercury League, which was the it's
underrepresented.
Underrepresented. Yes, it's the VMLs is for like the underrepresented, marginalized communities, for them to have a competition. And ZBexx, she always did really well in that competition, along with Mythic Michaela. And so I just connected with all these people because I also competed in the VMLs once, but I didn't do very good. Mythic Michaela beat me. But and then we brought on Air Bubbles. I did not know Ariel personally, but, just chit-chatted on Twitter and things like that. And when, as soon as I met her in person, I was just like, she's an absolute sweetheart. And all of them, ZBexx, Air Bubbles, and just like the guest that we have, like they just radiate positivity and inclusiveness, and like, so it's worked out. I found a great group of people. And there are so many other people in the community that are like that I just recently met at the last con. And I have to shout them out, like Anna Margaret, Giraffe Nat. Like, I know that they haven't been around the Magic space very long, but they are just absolute sweethearts and they're amazing cosplayers. Bobby Christine, I mean, the whole group of Birds of Paradise. Now there's another group of marginalized gender representation called Birds of Paradise, and they're all friends of mine. And they're more focused on like being at these events, yes, but also supporting a charity. Usually it's like Trans Lifeline or the Trevor Project, things like that. So yeah, like I work with them too. So it's like, it's not these like clique groups of people. It's like we all just want a safe, fun environment for everyone at these conventions. So,
what is the vision to make Magic? Is there going to be a finish line where you'll know that we've sort of set out to do what we set out to do? Like, is there a way? Do you see like the light at the end where like that can happen? You know, maybe a world where people are not feeling or experiencing some of the things that women or underrepresented groups are experiencing today.
That is a really sad question because I would hope so, but like it's really hard. Because, I mean, I've been dealing with it my whole life. You know, I'm 34 and I have dealt with this my entire life. And, you know, just like with all of like the stuff going on in politics, going backwards in time with the Roe versus Wade, like I can't help but to feel that it's not getting better, if that makes sense. But like, I'm also hopeful that it will. But I think it just takes like all of us being there and being present and having voices and not standing for the crap that we deal with, you know, like like I said, I try to just spread positivity, but sometimes it does become overwhelming. And sometimes I will call somebody out when they do say something very sexist to me. When I feel that it's necessary to do so, because I think it's also important to talk about. And yeah, it's like really hard. I don't know how to answer that because I hope that it changes, but I mean, it hasn't. I mean, it has, I don't know, has little by little, but like, is there ever an end game for it? I don't know. I think there's like always going to be shitty people, right? Like there's always going to be shitty people.
Yeah. So it's more maybe about fighting the good fight. It's like, you know, that
exactly
things can get even worse. So it's like you have to actively push back the worsening of it, if that's a word.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And that's what we do, but I don't have an idea of like when there would be an end to it. And it's exhausting, honestly. It's very exhausting because I feel like we're just constantly fighting it. I mean, in everything, not just magic and not just like who represents magic, but life, just every aspect. Like I was always underpaid in every job that I had. I was always paid less than the men. I've quit jobs because I found out. And it still happens.
Yeah. Is it happening now in your space? Like, you know, like with content? Is it or is it not? Is it a little bit better than?
Yes, it does happen. And every time that I do work with a company, I ask them for full transparency on, hey, are you paying this male content creator more than me? Sometimes they will say yes. So. And
did they give you a reason? Or did you ask for budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. Budget for budget for the women too.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And you know, like I do have a good relationship with several of the male content creators in the space. And so when I do ask them also, like, hey, can you just let me know like how much you're getting for this deal? And I talk with amongst the women as well, because I just want to make sure that people are being treated equally. Like even for me, like some people are like, oh, well, your numbers are higher than mine. I'm like, I don't care. I want you to get paid the same. Like, you're still putting your time into it.
Yeah. Or even more perversely, it's like if your numbers are higher than a male creator and they're getting paid more, like then you're kind of also like WTF, right?
Yeah.
That's
it happens. Yeah.
That's very unfortunate. I mean, I'm sort of just like blanking on here because like I know I'm going into this field, but it's like I don't really know, like, because I'm not I'm not on your level, like, and I'm also not in your position, so it's very I'm just I
think that it's just super important for us content creators out there to talk amongst each other and make sure that we are getting treated equally by these companies. And and we're just not being taken advantage of from these companies, because it does happen.
Yeah. Would you say that's also maybe one of the contributing reasons? This is such a leading question, that you kind of went independent and became a content creator.
Yes.
Is because now you're sort of outside of that.
I am in control.
World.
Yep. I am in control. Yeah.
Okay.
Working in the medical field, especially, like, there was a lot of harassment happening, especially with doctors, people of power. It happened a lot. And I was really tired of dealing with that, because even if you take it, this is very complicated, but like, even if you take it to HR, it's like, well, the doctor owns the place and the doctor makes the money. And like, I'm over there working my butt off, standing for 12 hours a day and getting paid $10 an hour, and it's just like not even $10. I don't think it was like $9, but, and then also dealing with harassment. I was like, I don't want to work for these people. I don't want to work for anyone. And I mean, it's every job. When I worked in restaurants, you're harassed by cooks, and you're harassed by, like, sexually harassed by people.
It's not even by the customers. It's like people you work with every day, day in and day out.
And I was like, I don't want to work with anybody anymore. And I mean, that definitely like scarred me for sure. I don't trust a lot of people because of that. Yeah. And that was ever since I started working. As soon as I turned 16, I dealt with that. So yeah, I'm like, I just want to work for myself and I want to be in control. And yeah, I mean, it is at the point where, like, I don't even know if I can afford a manager or like how that works, or an agency, but it is getting to the point where it is just me, and it's a lot. And I would love to have somebody kind of help navigate, like, these jobs are legit and these are not, because it's a lot of like communication and like figuring it out. And you'll do a job, but you won't get paid for months. And I'm constantly following up, like, hey, I did this TikTok video, where's my money? And just like little stuff like that I don't really want to deal with. And so I'm like, what's the next step? But
you want to spend your time on like creating, right?
Yeah,
that's honestly every creator I've talked to. It's like they want to spend time creating.
But it's hard when you're doing all of the other.
But you're also doing invoicing. You're also
marketing,
like dealing
and
with
and you're doing your scheduling. And I would love to have somebody help me, but I don't even know where to start with that. But I'm gonna look into it, because it is just me literally all the time, which like is my comfort place. But yeah, it'll be I think that hiring someone will help me grow and help me get more opportunities, because I can really invest my time into like actually making content, which is hard to do because, yeah, you just don't have enough time in the day.
Are you at peace right now? Do you feel that you are in control of your destiny?
Yes, which is all I ever wanted. That is why I work so hard every day and it doesn't stop, because I want that freedom. I want to be able to travel and do things, like just do whatever I want. And like, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed that I can do this full time. And it's hard. Like some months you barely make rent. You know, it's content creation is really hard, as if you're a content creator watching, you know. But you just gotta keep going. And yeah, budget accordingly, you know. It's not easy.
How do you deal with burnout?
I definitely pace myself. I set limitations. Like, you know, I am very introverted. So if I do stream for 4 hours, like, I am exhausted after. Like, I just have to have quiet, or I'll take a bath, or I'll like read, or like play. I'll just scroll through TikTok, honestly, or just like do something. Like do something to kind of like zone out. But yeah, like I do that. I think I'm very good at that. I'm very good at taking time for myself, because I know, like, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and like chronic pain, and I don't know. I can't really say if fibromyalgia is a thing or not. It's like, it's still so undecided in the scientific medical space, but I know that if I overdo it, then I will be in excruciating pain the next day, and like my body will lock up and I literally can't move, and I don't want to be that way. So I definitely put limitations on myself. Like, I'll only stream a few hours, a few days a week, and then I'll spend the other time doing packaging, and I'll spend, you know, a certain amount of time sitting at my computer doing emails and meetings. Like, I just set limitations for myself. But I've had that since I was 15, and so I've always like had to set limitations for myself and limit stress, or my body like freaks out. Like, I'll break out in hives. My whole muscles like lock up and my bones hurt. I don't know. It's like I feel like a 90-year-old person. So yeah. So like I'm pretty good at that. So I don't ever feel burnt out, because I never allow myself to even get to that point.
Have you gotten better at saying no to things over the years? Mm-hmm. Because I imagine like setting boundaries is, as you said, one of the things.
Yeah, I say no a lot. I like, if I have too much going on in the week and somebody wants me to play EDH, like, I know playing EDH is not a lot of energy, but it is. Well, it is if you're recording and you're in front of the camera, right? Yeah, you're setting up your lights, you're setting up your cameras, you're getting dressed. Just even getting dressed and doing my makeup, like, physically exhaust me sometimes. And so sometimes I'll, say, sorry, I can't right now. If I have too much stuff going on that week or something. So yeah, it's a lot of being comfortable saying no. And I have no problem doing that.
Do you have any issues saying no to yourself? I know you mentioned your health condition and how you want to avoid the worst case scenario, which is a lot of pain the next day. But I also feel, as content creators, we're also having to say yes and no to ourselves. And I can explain what that means. Like, because you do a lot of creative stuff. Like, I'm not going to lie. I spent 20 minutes before this interview literally just going through your TikTok videos, and I did not think I would spend 20 minutes, but I did, because they were so well done. And I just feel like they're just so well edited. Like, they're just
I was editing a TikTok video right before our meeting.
That's what I imagine, is that as I was watching the TikTok, Taalia was probably editing or
I was
hustling or doing
making
something.
TikToks.
Yes. So how do you say no to yourself? It's like, because I feel like you're just someone who, you might just wake up every day and have like 10 ideas, but you might only feel like you can execute maybe 2 of them or whatever, or it'll take time. So
yeah,
it's like, how do you, because my mind, like maybe it's the ADHD-ness of, I don't want to say ADHD diagnosed, but it's like ADHD behavior of creators is like, we're always trying to like push ourselves, right? So how do you learn to manage that?
Oh yeah, there's always like 20 things I need to be doing. I am fairly certain that I have undiagnosed ADHD. I finally got health insurance for like the first time in 15 years. So I'm going to go take care of that. I feel like it would help my life in general. But I make a lot of lists. I was going to show you my list, but I don't know what happened to it. But if I make a list and I can see all of the things that I need to do and I can like physically check them off, then I feel like much more relieved versus like just all of these ideas going through my head of like, oh my God, I have to do this and this and this and this. And then I get very overwhelmed. Whereas like if I physically write it down, I don't know why, it just helps so much. Like going just one by one, like, okay, I need to do this, check, and like checking it off or scratching it off of like, I feel the accomplishment. And if I only get 1 or 2 of those things on that list of 10, then I feel okay, because I set that limitation for myself of like, at least do 2 of those things every day, like at least do 2. It's not much. So but that's the limitations I put on myself, just because, I know my body and I don't want to overwhelm myself. So,
right.
Yeah.
Has that system changed for you over the years? Like, did you have to evolve it or like try different things? Like for example, the list or certain ways of doing stuff?
I've kind of like always done the list method, and that seems to keep me on track. If I don't make the list, like, or have it in a calendar, then I will forget. And then a million other things will pop into my head, and then I'll forget, a few other things. So I've always kind of worked that way. Yeah.
What's your relationship to Magic now? Because I think all of us, when we get into Magic, we're so passionate about it. We want to play it all the time. And I just feel like sometimes as creators, we have to balance that, because honestly, we're spending more time doing Magic adjacent or related things as opposed to playing the game. What's your relationship with the game now? I
love that. Like, so much is Magic adjacent. Like, it's kind of wild. One of my great friends here locally in Houston, him and his wife just had a baby, and I love hanging out with him. But like, he started a Chinese restaurant called Ricebox, and he developed that over a game of Magic the Gathering. And you meet so many people just like at a coffee shop. Or one time I was at a store, like I was at, it sounds weird, but I was with Hunter Pence, and Hunter loves,
I know he's into Magic. Yeah.
He loves Magic, but like he like is really into spirituality and like who's your spirit animal and like gems and stuff. So we went to this, we were like driving to get coffee or something. He also loves coffee. And he saw a shop, and it was like a witch store or whatever. I don't know what you call it. It's like the witch's cauldron or something. And he's like, we have to
Witchcraft?
Stop. Yeah. He's like, we have to stop. And I was like, do we? I don't want to go. It was so funny because he was like, no, we have to. And we turned around and stopped inside the shop. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go. Like, oh, fine. And so we went, and I was just like, I was really into Tiny Bones at the time, and I like saw a skull, and I was like, oh, this looks like Tiny Bones from Magic. And the girl behind the counter, who like was this tall, gorgeous model, like young, just absolutely stunning. She was like, did you just say Magic the Gathering? like Magic the Gathering.
Did you say the M word?
And I was like, yeah, do you play? And she's like, oh, I just got into Magic and I just built an EDH deck. And she was like, what's your phone number? And she's like, well, let's play. And like, I didn't even want to go inside the store. And then I met someone that like is amazing and she plays Magic. And I was like, this is the best day ever. And you just meet so many people that way. Like it's just, Magic is everywhere. Magic is everywhere. And yeah, you just don't know. There's so many like closet Magic people. And then when you bring it up or you say a term, they're like, oh, wait, you? Magic? Yeah. It's so funny. So like Magic is adjacent to like so many things and so many people, which is really cool. Where I'm at with Magic, I never get tired of playing Magic. I play every day. And yeah, or if I'm not playing, then I'm organizing my cards, which I need to do. It's like never ending. I organize them and then they become a mess again. And there's cards everywhere. That table is just covered in cards that needs to be organized. And my commander decks are a mess because I keep wanting to edit them. So yeah, there's a pile of commander decks right here. But so like I'm always every day.
I mean, can you really be a Magic player without having piles of Magic cards lying around? So.
Exactly. So yeah, every day is Magic. I wake up thinking about it. I go to sleep thinking about it, and I would not want it any other way because I love Magic so much. And it like I have not experienced burnout from Magic. Prior to playing Magic, before I discovered Magic, I was always playing tabletop games or video games. So like it was always a big part of my life. And it was a lot of deck building games too, like Ascension and Fairy Tale and things like that. And actually my D&D group, I played D&D for 2 years. Every single weekend, it took up all my weekends, 8-hour shifts on the weekend,
marathons.
Saturday. Yeah. Which was an amazing experience. But at the end of the campaign, the DM brought over a fat pack and they were like, hey, we're going to draft this game. And I was like, okay. And I kicked everybody's butt and I was like, this is my game. I don't want to play anything else. This is awesome. So I pretty much have only played Magic since. I have not played D&D again, which I am soon with Anna Margaret, by the way. She invited me for like a one shot that we're going to do in a few weeks. So that'll be fun. But yeah. So
the spark is still there.
Gaming has just been a part of my life forever.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought there.
No problem. I mean, it sounds like you're still so passionate about Magic and the spark is still there. You're still very into it. Having said all that, though, are there things that you like to see for Magic that maybe are not here today?
Anime cards, like Secret Lairs that are based off of Studio Ghibli, or like Hunter x Hunter, or like Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist
is that your top tier of anime? I heard that you're really into Shonen Jump anime, or maybe just anime in general. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely, those are my favorites.
Tell me why you're
horror.
So into
I like horror too.
And horror.
Yeah.
You mean horror in general, or horror and anime?
Horror and general, but yes, horror, anime, all of that. Yeah. But also horror movies. Yes.
What's your top tier of horror movies? What are you into?
Ooh. So like top tier horror movie. Okay. Horror movies that I will watch over and over again. Get Out.
Yep. Get Out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. Have you seen it?
I have, yes.
It's a good one.
It is very scary, yes.
I love
horror plus commentary,
revenge.
Social commentary. Yeah.
Like a good revenge story gets me. So I love that movie. I'm trying to think. I really enjoyed Midsummer, but that also is a revenge story. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think revenge and horror are kind of adjacent things, because like if you think about revenge, you can also go into like there's a tradition of like Korean movies that I was really into that are all about revenge, and they're not really horror, but they're very bloody and about revenge. So I mean, there's it's kind of a blurry line, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a lot of animes too, honestly.
Yes,
it's
yes.
very
what else is on your horror all-time list?
Okay.
Are those the two?
This movie has like a lot of issues. All right. There's a lot of stuff wrong with it. Like stuff that doesn't make sense. I'm
gonna caveat the heck out of this. Yeah.
Girl running in heels in the beginning. Like, why do you have heels on? Take those heels off. Hello?
You can run faster.
Oh my gosh. But I do love this movie because it scared me, and it's called It Follows.
It Follows.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that.
And I really like it just because like I love the acting, I love the cinematography, and I love the music, and it's like just a silly like thing. It's just out there. Like I felt like it was such a new take on horror. It wasn't just relying on like the same story of like a haunted house or like people trying to kill you or whatever.
So it takes like some of the tropes and it kind of like subverts it or something?
It is a story about a sexually transmitted ghost. So this guy has sex with this girl.
I heard about this movie.
And then there's a ghost. There's like a ghost that follows her.
Yeah.
It's really good. You should watch it.
Yeah, it's social commentary allegory. I heard about this. It was like when it was at a festival. I read about this movie.
Yeah. Oh, and then you have. Oh my God. I mean, Parasite was just such a good movie. Holy moly. I love that movie. And then, you know what? One of my favorite movies, though, it's not horror, but it's kind of horror adjacent. Jamie Lee Curtis is in there, and she's a scream queen. She is the scream queen. But Everything Everywhere All at Once was the best movie that I've seen in probably a decade. Like, I enjoyed that movie so much. Have you seen it?
I have not, but
you gotta watch
basically everyone has said this movie will change your life. And I think there's one person I follow on Twitter who tweets about it like every week. Like,
it's amazing.
Weekly reminder, watch the movie.
It's like thrilling and funny and heartfelt, and you're crying and then you're laughing and so it's like the title, it's everything. The perfect, it's everything. It's the perfect movie. I love that movie so much. And there's all these little Easter eggs. If you're like, you know, into pop culture, you'll like recognize some of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got Michelle Yeoh, right? I got to watch that.
Yes. Oh, she's amazing. Yes. She's the best. Yeah. How did you get into horror initially? So as a genre? I said earlier that I was in production and I've acted before. And one thing that I was really passionate about in high school, like the only class that I loved going to, and I would actually show up for because I skipped school a lot, was my video class. And I started making short films, and I really wanted to be a cinematographer and director. And I started making short films, and they were mostly horror based because like those are just like the stories that I like to tell. I just always grew up loving horror, like reading Goosebumps and watching Are You Afraid of the Dark? Shout out to R.L. Stine. Yes. And so I just like wanted to tell stories like that. And then, you know, after I graduated high school, I actually like dated this guy who also wanted to do the exact same thing that I did, which was very conflicting because he wanted to film horror movies and I wanted to film horror movies, but he ended up having the money to do so and I did not. So I just got to act in his horror movies, which were terrible, by the way. And I am not going to mention the name. Some of you'll know they are on Amazon Prime, and do not search it. Do not. I shouldn't have even said that. Why did I say that? But yeah. So like, I just always loved horror. And, you know, I grew up in a very Southern Baptist home, and my parents, I never celebrated Halloween. I was not allowed to celebrate Halloween. So I've never been trick-or-treating. I've never like dressed up or celebrated Halloween. And so I think it was like maybe that sense of, well, it's forbidden. So like, I want
kind of
to
rebellion
watch
or
it.
teenage rebellion.
Yeah. Like that's what I would do with my friend. We would just watch horror movies, like The Ring. That one was really scary when we were kids.
Oh man, I had nightmares when I first watched
That's a good one.
Yeah.
The Ring. Oh, I do want to shout out another horror movie because I think that it's really good. And a lot of people don't know about it, but it's very old. Rec. REC. It's from
REC.
It's a Spanish movie. I think it's filmed in Spain, and it's really good. And another foreign. I love foreign movies. So another one is the one with the vampires, the young kids.
Is it the Swedish one?
The Swedish one.
I watched the original one. The girl, right? Who's the vampire?
Yes. They remade it in America, but it wasn't as good. But yeah, it's like, you know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the name.
I know what you're talking about.
The last something or the...
This is really dating myself, but I used to rent DVDs, and I used to go to the horror section and the international section all the time.
That was my section.
I was just challenging myself to like not like just watch a horror movie a week kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I watched
What is some of your favorites?
This is going to be I know this shouldn't be about me, but I thank you for asking. Okay.
The last one. Is it the last one? The last one on the right. Okay, sorry.
It's the last something, right?
Sorry. It just came to me. Let the right one in. Let the right one in.
Let the right one in. Yes. Winner.
Okay.
I did not watch the remake, but the original was really awesome.
The original was so good. Okay.
The music was just fucking amazing too.
Sorry, I totally interrupted you, but you said Scream?
Scream is like one of my go-tos.
I was in New York. I was in New York recently, and I was shopping. Not shopping. I was just hanging out. I wasn't buying anything in these expensive stores, but I was in this like expensive clothing store, and I see the guy from Scream like right next to me, David Arquette, and I was like, "That's the guy from Scream." But he looked so different. Like he looked so much older. I almost didn't recognize him. But then when he walked out the store, the ladies that were working at the store were like, "That was David Arquette," and I was like, "Oh, that was him. How cool!" But you
didn't go up to him?
Oh my God, no. But like, what would I say? Hey, I don't know. But he was like really tiny. Like he was so skinny, and he was a lot shorter than I imagined, which I just didn't expect that. I thought I don't know. But anyways. Okay, besides Scream, what else?
Hold on, random question for you. How tall are you?
I am 5'5". I'm not that tall, but like I was taller than him, which means he had Okay. Now I have to Google how tall David Arquette is because, like, I swear he was so short.
I'm not putting down your height or anything. Like, I'm just saying that, like, I was just trying to make some sort of, like, I just had an idea, like, on camera, right? It's like, you can't tell how tall someone is.
5'10". I feel like that's a lie. There's no way.
5'10" on, like, wearing platform shoes.
There's no way that he was 5'10".
Okay. It's like basketball players. Like, they report their height being, like, 2 inches higher than they actually are, right?
Yes.
I'm 5'10" on a good day.
Man, I should start doing that, but I'm a terrible liar. But I should start saying I'm like 5'7".
You don't need to. You're a content creator, so it's like
true.
the height doesn't matter. You're in front of the camera.
I've always wanted to be tall. I always wanted to be a model. Like when I was a little kid, I was like, that would be the funnest job, just like getting my picture taken. But
it's not too late. It's not too late, Taalia.
Oh my gosh! I tried.
You're very photogenic, if I may say.
Thank you, but I tried. And it was very different back then, in the 90s and early 2000s when I had interest in this. Like I was told, you're way too fat, you're way too short.
Oh, Jesus.
But it's changed now. It's changed now, thankfully. But yeah, like they told me, take Pilates, go on a diet, blah, blah. Like I heard everything. You
got to fire your agent or whoever told you that.
Yeah, no, that was the agent telling me.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think times have changed,
now.
right?
Yeah.
The world's bigger in a way because of the internet.
A little bit, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
It still happens, but
yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, Sorry, where were we?
I wanted to know another horror movie that you like. Sorry, going back to the horror movie, I need to know at least one more.
So I mentioned revenge because I feel like revenge movies are kind of adjacent to horror, especially when they're bloody, and I like them bloody. So I feel like the Lady Vengeance, Old Boy. Like there was that Korean trilogy by
I love Old Boy.
one director.
Oh my god!
And I just love.
So
I could watch those movies over and over again. I know it's not really horror, but it's kind of adjacent.
Yeah, no, it feels very like thrilling. You know, like it keeps you guessing.
Yeah. I'm thinking,
I need to rewatch that. It's been a long time since I've watched.
You should just watch the original. The remake wasn't as good. So,
okay.
Yeah. Gosh, what else? Man. You know, I really like Cabin in the Woods. Like that was a really
Is that like Josh Whedon?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I
it was.
hated Cabin in the Woods. But you know, it's so funny.
I mean, it was a total fan service film.
It was fan service, and that's just like not my thing. I was like,
I'm so sorry I just mentioned this. It's like I've watched 100 hundreds of movies, and now it's just like I'm just for some reason I brought up
so many people love it though, and I get it. Like I get it, but it just no.
What was it for you that was just like no?
It was just too it's just too predictable, and like you knew that was going to happen, and I don't know. Like I need some kind of I need like some shock value.
If we're talking shock value, then I think that the Japanese movie Audition is up there for me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I
don't know that
I had
one.
nightmares
I gotta write that down.
I mean, I was way younger when I watched this, but I think the Japanese name is Audition, but it's basically audition.
Okay.
It is.
I'm writing it down.
It is. Excuse my French. Like the biggest mindfuck of a movie that I'd ever.
Oh, I love
ever seen.
that. No,
It's just.
I want my mind.
It's based in reality. It's like psychological horror, but
I love psychological. Yeah.
It's not supernatural, but it's scary as fuck. And I would also say there's another one that is just like super unsettling. I think both the original and the remake are good. Funny Games. Have you seen that?
No. I gotta write that one down too. Funny Games.
It is like one of those like I mentioned this because of Cabin in the Woods. But it's very different. It's kind of one of those breaking the fourth wall movies where it's really just changing your expectations as the viewer. Like
I love that.
There's a point in the movie where the villain is actually just talking to you like through the camera.
Cool.
And it's like but it's not super arty. Like it's actually really unsettling and creepy, and I think you might dig it. Yeah, check those two out.
I will check it out. You mentioned Korean films. Have you watched any Korean K-dramas?
I have not. Do you have any recommendations?
Okay.
It's not just for me, it's for the viewers and listeners too. So.
I watched, just on a total whim, the cover image looked absolute like hoaxy, but I watched one called Sweet Home. And
I watched that one.
Loved it.
Yeah. I actually watched that one.
Like it was using practical effects, practical costumes and makeup. Like I love that. I hate when it's like just CGI. I love that they did that. And I mean the story was like a little predictable and it felt very like Walking Dead ish, but like I enjoyed the heck out of that. I was like, this is enjoyable.
I like that one too.
And it like felt like a live action anime playing out a little bit too, you know? Like kind of ridiculous and like over the top, but in a good way. Like, it was well done. Yeah.
So funny thing about that, there was a period of time when my Netflix would only show me like Korean supernatural things like Sweet Home and like other like Korean. There's a Korean zombie show or something.
There's a few.
Like it's just once you watch one, it just keeps pushing it to you, and it's just like now it's gone away a little bit because like for the past while I've been watching other stuff, so Netflix is kind of like backed off, but it was just recommending one after another. So
and then shortly after the viral games, what was it? Games something?
Squid
Games. Yeah, that one came out. I mean, that was intense too. I watched it, but I honestly like Sweet Home more. I thought Sweet Home was more enjoyable.
I've got a couple more like Korean horror zombie Netflix shows in my to watch list. That's just sitting there.
Yeah,
I better get on that. I mean, I like that stuff. Have you watched like Korean courtroom drama? I watched one on Netflix recently where it was like Law and Order, but like in Korea. It was pretty
I've heard
cool,
they're really good, but I have not.
Okay.
I've not had a lot of time to watch stuff lately, but I'll have to check that out though, because I've heard good things.
So switching gears ever so slightly, what is it about Hunter x Hunter? Like ZBexx mentioned that you got her to watch this show. Like, what is it about that?
She told you that?
Yes, she did. You got her into anime, but you also got her into. No, I was doing background on you. I asked you like who to message, and she told me this. Like, I got into Hunter x Hunter because of Taalia.
Oh my god, that is so funny. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a cool like underdog story, right? Like, this kid is wanting to become a hunter and like complete this exam, and the exam is like so intense, and the odds are not in his favor. I mean, he's up against like these big dudes and strong people, but like and then there's this whole other story of like him just wanting to impress his dad, and like it's just so well written, and I love character development. And they spend an appropriate amount of time building characters. It's not like One Piece where you have to watch 800 episodes, which like no hate to One Piece, but I don't have time for that. Whereas Hunter, it's more, there's not that many seasons and you could binge it for sure. And, it was just like, it was like one of the only animes that I wanted to just keep binging and like watching, like when's the next episode. And I watched it when it came out. That probably was like 2012 or something. And I had to wait for the episodes every single week. I couldn't just binge it. So, I've since then watched it like 3 times and binged it. But yeah, that was brutal. Like, I just couldn't, like, it gave me that feeling when you're a kid, right? And you're like, you want to
anticipating.
Yeah. Like anticipating the next episode. So yeah, it was just like a very cute story and nostalgic and really well written and done. The creator, I think, is pretty genius. I heard he's coming out of retirement. He's actually married to the creator of Sailor Moon, which is another anime that I grew up watching. So, that's one of the first ones. Yeah. So that was a really cool little fact about it. But
I did not know that. Hunter x Hunter. This is like, I've been hearing about this show quite a bit recently because I started rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, and it's by the same creator.
Yeah.
And it I think I was talking to Krim, the Asian Avenger, and he says he rewatches Yu Yu Hakusho like every week,
anime,
every year, and I guess he must have watched Hunter as well.
Oh, he has.
I need to start.
He has. Yeah, we've talked about it several times.
So this is in your pantheon, and then you also mentioned Full Metal Alchemist. And
have you seen that? Have you seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? Yeah. So
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
that is also very enjoyable.
So good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites. Like that's top tier. I will say the thing that got me like back into anime, because I watched it as a kid, Dragon Ball Z, things like that, but like I kind of lost touch with it. The thing that got me back into it was Attack on Titan, but like I only watched the first season, and that's when it like first came out. And that's
the horror element of it.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, this is so like scary, and these giants, and I pretty much became obsessed. I went and bought all the mangas because I had to see like what happened next, because like the anime wasn't coming out for a while. And I cosplayed Mikasa, one of the main characters. I think this was in like 2012. I think, as well. But that's and then from there I discovered Hunter and Food Wars. That's up there.
Food Wars. I've not watched that.
Yeah.
That's a highly recommended.
Food Wars is cute. Yeah.
Okay. Is it about
not
the restaurant
horror,
industry or something?
But it is like, it's about food and it's about the restaurant industry and this like, it's again like this guy wanting approval from his dad. He's like, I want to be a cook like my dad. And his dad's like, no, this is garbage. You can't cook. And then he like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And he gets into like the best chef school in his country. And it's just really cute. They have to do like these competitions. It's really like Hunter a lot. Like they have to go through these trials and it's really cute.
It's this kind of like coming of age story, right?
I love coming of age stories. Yeah. So it's like a coming of age story. And it mixes food. So it's great. And there's like, it's like a food competition. Like if you ever watched Chopped or things like that, it's filmed that way where they have to like compete, but it's
right.
you have to check it out.
I totally understand what you're saying. Like one of my favorite animes is like Slam Dunk. There's always some activity with the coming of age arc, which is the very like Japanese.
It's anime defied. I don't know. So it's like slow motion and it's really intense. And like whenever he's making an egg, it's like 5 minutes of just beautiful like egg shots. I don't know how to describe it. It's just really cute.
Wait, is this anime? This is anime, right?
It is. Yeah. It's anime.
Wow.
But I haven't watched the last couple seasons, but
okay.
Because I just haven't had time to watch TV lately. I'm behind.
Yeah.
I'm behind.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, that's very understandable.
But I watched the first few and it was cute.
Yeah. Are you watching anything else right now, like outside of anime, just like shows or movies, or whether it's like West or East?
You know what I did watch and I loved it, and I feel like it did not get enough hype or love and attention, is Sandman. On Netflix.
I am watching that right now.
Yeah, like literally. A lot of people say it's slow and like people aren't binging it, so it did not get renewed for a second season, I don't believe.
Oh, it didn't?
I don't think so. Which is really sad because I thought it was pretty well done. And I really love like a fantasy story. I need to watch. I'm watching the Dragon show too, the Game of Thrones the prequel. But you already know what to expect. Like because it's already written, so like it's good. But I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen. And, it's different, right? So I watched. I
haven't watched it yet, but I hear it focuses a lot more like on the politics of the house as opposed to like a grander world. Like because it has to be just House Targaryen. Is that what it is? Yeah, I mean, there's
definitely different like houses.
Okay,
but
so there's a lot of like there is like intra-house
of politics. Yeah. But it's enjoyable. Like it's filmed really nice, and the acting is great, and the dragons are cool, and so like it's enjoyable. But I mean, there's so many shows that just won Emmys that I like really want to see that I don't have access to. Like, what's the one on Apple TV? There's Ted Lasso and Severance. I've heard good things about, and Hacks. Like there's a bunch of shows that usually I keep up with the awards circuit because that's just generally like stuff I like too. So but there's a lot out there to catch up on. I just don't have time.
I am watching The Sandman. Is it Sandman or The Sandman right now?
Sandman.
And it's actually making me want to read the original graphic novels because I think the show is so well done. First of all, I know nothing about like Neil Gaiman's original work. I just went and watched it. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like blown away. I'm actually blown away that you said it's not renewed because I'm only halfway through it, but like I'm old. Like I can't actually watch 10 hours of TV, so I have to watch like an episode a day or something.
Yeah.
But I've really liked the world that it's building, and I actually did some like Googling on like the actor or who plays Morpheus. Like, who's this guy, right? And apparently they had according to Wikipedia, they were trying to find the right actor for like 5 or 6 years. Like they literally auditioned like thousands of people. And Neil Gaiman personally had to like sat in auditions and was like, this person is kind of right. And they actually worked on his character. They had different like concepts. He did different voices. For a while, he sounded more like the Batman. And then they told him to like not do that and just be more himself. And so it was really, really like interesting.
It's how the show was made. It's a very difficult character to cast. And I think they nailed it, honestly. Like at first I was like,
I think they did, yeah.
But I mean, you should definitely either read the book or listen to the book on audiobook. It is awesome, and they did like the best
and there's
job.
A whole lot more, right, to the world than like what's in the show, I guess.
Yeah, and I like really love it, and you'll see there is like a horror aspect to it. And the creator of Supernatural, which is like a show that used to be on CW that I was like absolutely obsessed with.
Shout out, I used to watch that on WB.
So Supernatural got a lot of influence from their show, or from Sandman.
So did you know that the showrunner for Supernatural was at one point pegged to create the Sandman TV show?
Yeah.
But then I think Gaiman or whoever decided that it wasn't the right person, so they kind of moved on from that. Right?
So I see a lot of similarities when I'm watching Sandman. I was like, this feels like Supernatural, kind of. And I like that. Yeah.
Okay. So you're hardcore into this stuff. I'm just like a casual fan, so yeah. But I
definitely
want to learn more about it.
Check out the book. I think that because I'm the same way. Like once I see something, I'm like, oh, I want to read it, or vice versa. Like if I read it, I have to see the version of the show, and because I like to compare, and they like really nailed it. It's very well done. So
got it. Just to kind of to wrap things up, is it okay if we do a rapid fire round of questions?
Okay. Let's go.
Is that?
I'm gonna be on the spot. We'll see.
You don't have to. There's no timer. You don't have to actually. You don't have to answer them within 15 seconds.
Rapid
it's
fire
just like,
makes me think like 5 seconds.
Oh no! It's not like name your favorite Pokemon in like 5 seconds. No,
I
it's
got
not
that.
gonna be like that. But
Charmander.
But actually, that is a question. So no time limit. What would be your Pokemon squad if you had to have 6 of them battle for you?
6? Oh my god, do I even know 6? I'm old. I know the basics. I like Pikachu, Eevee, Charmander.
The anime sweat is being animated right now. Yeah.
I honestly don't know any of the new Pokemons. I like Vaporeon and like the other versions of Eevee. Is that a thing? What else? But they have to be starters. I'm really bad at this.
I'll take your word for it. I mean, in terms of
I got 3. Those are my favorite though. I mean,
okay, that's
how could you not love Pikachu? That's another anime we grew up watching.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was kind of annoying, but yeah, he lovable at the same time.
What was your favorite video game growing up as a kid?
Oh, growing up as a kid, all the Mario games, like for sure. Mario, 60, Super Mario 64, just any Mario game, Mario Kart, Melee. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Oh, yes. Zelda. Oh my gosh. Just anything on Nintendo is what I grew up with. But during adulthood, I definitely played a lot of The Last of Us. I played that over and over. Like, I love the story so much. I don't know if I'm that excited about the show though. I feel like the casting is a little strange. Yeah, hot take. But
it also seems a little antithetical to have a show, or if antithetical is even a word. It's like because the game is meant to be
the game is the show.
Is meant to be the show, right?
Just play the game. It's a show.
Yeah.
It plays out like a movie.
So this is what I did because I'm so lazy. I didn't play the game, but I actually watched like a YouTube playthrough of the game where someone recorded all the cutscenes, so you could actually get the whole story. So it's like you could just do that. Like, why watch the show, right?
Yes, but I will say, if you ever have a chance to play, absolutely play, because like the mechanics of the game were really cool. Like it was just perfect. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like using the controller in the way of like this moving forward in the story, it was like you feel part of it.
Yeah. What I can say is that I had a good friend who never ever plays video games. I was shocked. He told me, James, you need to play Last of Us. Like, this is a person that never plays video games. I don't think he's ever even touched like a first-person shooter or like Uncharted or an adventure game. And he was just like, James, you got to play Last of Us. That's the most glowing recommendation you can get, really.
Yeah, because it's also like, I mean, sure, you can make it more challenging, but it wasn't really challenging. It was more, you were just like so intrigued of like, where is this going and what's going to happen next? And again, the character development, you get super invested into the characters. So it like you were like in control of a movie in a way. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that you're really into fashion, especially indie designers. What are some current designers or pieces that you're really into?
I am super obsessed with, I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but because I'm not like super knowledgeable about fashion, but Mugler, Mugler, I think is what it's called. But they have a very like streetwear, but also like kind of skin tight, like sci-fi aesthetic, which I love. If you have seen Dua Lipa on stage or Meg Thee Stallion, they're wearing custom Mugler outfits where it's just like lines. It's like bodysuits, but I think it looks really cool. And I was in Canada filming Loading Ready Run, and I went to like the Nordstrom's, and they had a dress. They're very expensive. They're like thousands of dollars, but they had a Mugler dress on sale for like $300, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could just resell it for like $1,200. So I was like, okay, I can actually, this is attainable. So I bought it. It's like my favorite thing. I'm obsessed. It's beautiful. It's cool. It's like this like hoodie. I don't know how to describe it. It looks very sci-fi. It looks like you were in Blade Runner, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
I love that aesthetic. I love that aesthetic. So really into that. I wear a ton of Brain Dead. Shout out to Brain Dead. I'm not sponsored by them, but I love their Magic collab, and their clothes are very comfortable. And it's, they kind of have that, I guess some of it is sci-fi. It's like neon green, and like they have all these cool colors, and the clothes are very comfortable. And I love the streetwear style too. So super obsessed.
What's your secret to actually getting your hands on those items? Because like for like it's so hard, right?
Yeah, they sell out immediately
in a flash.
I tell everyone, because every time I wear one of those Magic shirts from Braid Dead, they're like, "Where do I get that?" I'm like, it's gone. Like you can't get it. I mean, they release it and it sells out within 15 minutes usually. So I already make an account on braindead.com, Braindead Studios. I make an account, and then I set an alarm because I follow their Instagram. And when I know it's dropping, I set an alarm so I don't forget. I go in, I immediately know my size. I put it in my cart and I check out, and then it's like sold out. So you have to act fast on those. They, I think like a lot of, what do you call it? Like scalpers or whatever. Like they buy it and put it on the resellers. They put it on the third market because I see those after. But like I just want a shirt that has an island on it, please. Like, I just want to wear it for myself. I'm not trying to resell it. So I at least get one. And yeah, I tell everybody, just be logged in and set your alarm. Be ready to go. Have your payment information already put in.
What's the earliest you've ever had to wake up to do that?
Oh, luckily I'm in Houston and they're in California. So when they do the drops, it's like 10 a.m. for me.
Got the advantage there. Yes. You could actually have a coffee first and then have do your online flash shopping.
It's like mid-morning, so I never miss it. Yeah.
Nice. How did you get into this fashion stuff? Was it always with you, or?
No. When I worked in the medical field for 12 years, I just wore scrubs. Like, I literally, that's all I wore.
That's what I figured. There's some sort of like uniform.
That's it.
Type thing. Yeah.
I had no style at all. Just recently kind of developed that in the past couple of years, mainly because I was looking at sustainability and like higher quality materials and not this like fast fashion that was something that I really could only afford. I could only afford fast fashion in my 20s. And so now I'm like, oh, well, let me look at a quality piece that, sure, it might cost $150 or $100 for a shirt, but like it's going to last me a lifetime if I took care of it. So I was just looking more, it's more of that. Like, it's kind of a minimalistic approach. Like, I don't want to have a bunch of stuff that is just like clutter and then it falls apart and I eventually have to donate it, give it away, and just the same cycle over and over again. So I just try to buy pieces that I like really love and that, it's just better for the environment. It's going to last longer. Yay. That's where it came from, really, was like wanting to be minimalistic, I guess. I mean, besides magic cards, I don't really buy anything. Like, I'm very minimal besides my magic collection in my office. But the rest of the house is like, I don't buy anything.
If you're on a desert island, what's one item that you would take with you to that desert island?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I just made that up. Somehow when you're talking about fashion, I just made that up in my head. I'm sorry.
Like one item? I mean, I think I need matches. Is that silly?
You're so practical. Yeah. What if it was like, maybe we can narrow it down, like not for survival, but just if there's something that you could enjoy, whether it's feeling good wearing something or a piece of music or
my dog.
Something you could watch.
My dog.
Your dog?
Oko.
Okay. Oko.
I hang out with my dog a lot.
Okay.
I love my
dogs. Is that Oko Thief of Crowns or Oko Ono or
Oko Thief of Hearts?
Thief of Hearts. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you always been a dog person?
Yes. I've always had dogs.
Okay.
Yep. They are my family. They're my best friends.
How would you describe Oko? Like him or her?
Oko, I got him 2 years ago. I adopted him, and he was trouble. He was trouble. But with some training and some patience, we finally got there. And he's a really good dog. He's so smart. He picks up tricks very, very fast. He is very energetic, but also chill like when he needs to be. So I like that because I like to take him out for a walk or go, on like road trips and stuff so he can hang. And he has a lot of energy, but yeah, and he just likes to play. He's such a good dog. He does bark out the window, and I'm still working on that. And if you ever watch my streams, you hear him in the background just out the window, like he's like chasing the people away, and I'm working on that. But it's also like not bad because I know when someone is walking up to my house and I'm streaming and I like can't hear, but I hear him. I'm like, oh, there's someone at the door. My mail's here. Like, it's actually not terrible, but like, yeah. I don't love the loud barking. He's a mix of very loud dog. So his bark is very, very big. Like he's Beagle, Chihuahua, Rottweiler, and Australian Shepherd. So
he's a big dog.
Very loud. No, he's like 25 pounds. He's like medium size. Yeah. Okay. He kind of looks like a Muppet version of a Shiba Inu.
Oh, okay.
Like he kind of looks like a fox. Sometimes he's very wiry. He's just a mutt, but I really wanted a Shiba Inu for the longest time. And I was on multiple lists, like wait lists, because they're extremely hard to find.
Sure.
And I could never, no one would ever call me. I was on a list of 80 people. Just never happened.
Yeah.
So I decided to adopt and just, which ended up being probably for the better. But then literally like a month ago, somebody had a Shiba Inu and they needed to get, it was a puppy and they like were trying to get rid of it. And they were like, it's for free. Do you want it?
Did you put your hand up for that?
I wanted it, but I just can't because I travel so much. And
one is enough, right?
Shibas are like, they need some training and they need to be walked every day. So it's a lot. Yeah. But I love them. I mean, I love all timing. I love all animals. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it just like, in the family? Like, you've always had dogs around the house kind of thing, or?
Yeah. My parents, raised like or bred Labradors. So we always had litters of puppies, and which I guess is like taboo now. I don't know, but they sold them to people that were duck hunters and things like that because these are what those dogs were like really passionate about. So I was always around like Labradors growing up. That's just like what my parents liked.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, I mean Labradors are cool, but yeah, I like mutts and like weird looking dogs.
Yeah. Muppet lookalikes. Yeah. Excellent. What is one thing that you would tell yourself if you could go back in time 5 years ago?
Ooh, 5 years ago. That's a tough one. I would have left that relationship, that's for sure. I would have left a lot sooner and started living my life and being happy and doing things I wanted to do instead of worrying about pleasing someone else. Yeah, I know that's like a sad answer, but I definitely regret that sticking around in something that I knew was not good for me or anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, do you have a vision for where you want to be as Taalia Vess?
I sure don't. I don't know if most people like have an answer to that question, but I've never had an answer to that question because I just like live day by day and I take it step by step and I have no idea. I mean, I am in a completely different place even just 2 years ago than I was today. And I never would have expected to be here today and doing what I'm doing now. So like the sky's the limit. I mean, who knows?
Last question. Taalia, what's the best place for people to find you on social or where you would like to be found?
Yes, you can find me everywhere at Taalia Vess. That's 2 A's in there. Taalia Vess. And I am on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm also launching my series on YouTube called Coffee, Carbs, and Cards. And you can find me on Whatnot. If you do use my link, you get $15 to spend on any of my merch, which is very helpful to me. You can get a playmat or a t-shirt. I also just give a lot of stuff away on there too, so you don't even have to buy anything. You can just come hang out and pick up a pack of Modern Horizons too if you want. I got them right here. I give whole boxes of these away sometimes. So you can check that out. It's pretty fun. It's addicting. And yeah, if you're ever in Houston, hit me up because I can definitely show you the best place to get some food and show you around Coral Sword or my future LGS, which hopefully will open in January. So,
yeah. Excellent. I am so sorry I lied. I do have one last question.
That's fine.
My curiosity got the better of me. I have to ask, how did the name Taalia Vess come about?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so my very first commander that I built, it's kind of like a basic story, but was Taalia. Like most people, I just wanted to play big stuff and smash face, and it was Angels and Demons and Dragons, which was like supernatural, right up my alley. So I was like, let's go. And so I just really liked the name. I was like, Taalia is a cool name. And my real name, which I don't ever say online, but starts with a T. And hint, hint, some people know, but so I just took the T and like made it more personable to me. So it's Taalia instead of Kalia. And then I was just going to be Taalia, but that was taken everywhere. And so I was like, well, I guess I need a last name. And who is the coolest planeswalker in the world? She's actually my background on my computer screen. And I have art of her all over my house, Taalia Vess. And I was like, Vess is a cool last name. I just love like one syllable names. So I was like, Vess. Yes, that's my last name. And it kind of just flowed. Taalia Vess. Taalia Vess. Just sounded cool. There's not much else to it. It was like, it sounded cool.
All right. Taalia Vess, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good rest of the evening where you are.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you all for listening. If you've listened to this point already, like, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for your support as always. And I hope to meet you in real life one day. That would be awesome.